It's vital that the House of Representatives and the Senate do everything in their power to clear this ridiculous roadblock that the President has laid out in this program. In the State House, Governor Schweitzer has urged action on this bill. In the Senate, Senator Baucus and Senator Tester have consistently supported this bill. But in the House of Representatives, Montana's only congressman has tried to weasel his way around this bill. He voted against it, and then he voted for it. Montana deserves a congressman who does not have to be forced to do the right thing. Montana deserves a congressman who votes for his conscience. And Montana deserves a congressman who puts the needs of the people of the state before the needs of the leaders of his party. Denny Rehberg is not that congressman. As many of you know, I am chairman of the National Association of Counties Rural Action Caucus. This week, I sent a letter to every member of Congress on behalf of the organization and counties across this country, describing just how important the Children's Health Insurance Program is to rural counties across this country. I may not be in Congress yet, but I'm determined to do all I can to try to convince some of these obstructionist congressmen to change their position, support this program, and override the veto. The same can't be said of my opponent. The people of Montana were outraged when Denny Rehberg voted against SCHIP. So what did Denny do? He went and switched his vote just to save his hide. If Denny has found religion on SCHIP, then it's time for him to start doing some preaching, some convincing, and some converting. We need 22 votes to override the President's veto. As you can see, it's not too many votes. That may seem like a lot to you, but there are 151, as you can see here. There are 151 Republicans who voted against the bill. 151. So how many will Denny deliver? As you can see, a list of all the Republican congressmen that voted against the bill. We want to see this list checked off one by one, that our congressman has convinced more and more of his colleagues to override the veto. Denny likes to brag about his clout. He likes to brag about being on Appropriations Committee. So let's convince these 151 to vote to override the veto. He doesn't have to look far to find someone to convince, because as you can see from this list, 17 of the 151 are his colleagues on the Appropriations Committee. 11 of the 151 that voted against the Children's Health Insurance Program were in his freshman class. And 8 of the 151 are from Western states that Rehberg has worked with day in and day out for 6 years. Each of these congressmen get health care at taxpayers' expense, but together with President Bush, they are blocking health insurance for over 10 million children in the United States. Would they deny their own families coverage? Why are they denying over 10 million children the opportunity to get health care coverage? If they don't believe the federal government should support children's health care, how can they in good conscience accept it for themselves? We pay Congressman Rehberg and his chief of staff over $300,000 a year with health coverage. For that kind of money, they should be able to convince more of these Republican congressmen who voted against the SCHIP to override the veto. I call on Congressman Rehberg to join me in urging these members of Congress to give up their own federally funded health care until each of these 10 million children are covered. That's not a lot to ask. Contrary to what President Bush has said, SCHIP is not a federal-run health care. It's not socialism. And it does not cover people up to $80,000 in income. I guess the President didn't read the bill before he vetoed it, because that's not what it says. I need your help today to tell Congressman Rehberg to do the right thing. Thank you. Any questions?
Isn't Rehberg already doing the right thing? I mean, he voted for the bill. He says he's going to vote to override the veto. What more do you want the guy to do? I mean, and he said he's going to try to get people to vote for you. It sounds like he's doing just what you want him to do.
We'd like to see this list. Start checking off this list. We only need 22 votes. 22 votes to override the president's veto. None of these folks have come on board yet. I sent off my letter asking for these congressmen to override the veto. Congressman Rehberg said he would try. Let's make sure that... pardon?
Did Tester send a letter?
I can't answer that.
Judy?
I think everyone needs to send a letter. I think Max Baucus has sent the message across the country. But I think in the House of Representatives, the colleagues of our congressmen, I think it's very important to find the 22 votes to override the veto. Not to compromise on the bill, not to let the veto stand and to come back with a compromise bill. I think it's very important that we pass this bill.
How do you know that Mr. Rehberg hasn't been doing what you're asking? How do you know he hasn't convinced somebody?
I haven't heard. I haven't heard of any of these congressmen saying they're going to vote to override the veto.
Isn't that asking a lot of him to convince single-handedly 122 people? I mean, he said he's going to work with...
22 votes.
Right, but then you just said any of these 122. I mean, he said he'd work with Baucus. I mean, he said as much... he's given as much of his strategy away on how he's going to do that as Baucus has given his... he said he would, in terms of what strategy Baucus is going to do to try to convince people.
You know how important the Children's Health Insurance Program is. As a congressman and overriding a veto, I get on the phone and call all 151. I think it's that important. We have until the 18th of October before this vote is taken. I think it's very important that each one of these congressmen hear from the state of Montana what's important for them. We've heard from our governor. We've heard from our 2 senators.
But haven't we heard about as much from our... I mean, certainly this Baucus issue, so he's talked about it more than anybody, but it seems like Rehberg has said he would do certainly as much as Tester has said he would do.
In the House of Representatives, we have one lone congressman.
Right.
And that one lone congressman has to make the call.
So you're saying that he's derelict unless he calls every one of these people?
I'm saying we need 22 votes to pass the bill.
I'm still trying to figure out exactly
votes.
what you're asking him to do.
I'm asking him to help us switch 22 votes and get the Children's Health Insurance Program passed. It's important to the children in this state.
Since we have CHIP in Montana, why is SCHIP so important?
CHIP is SCHIP. SCHIP is the State Children's Health Insurance Program. And the CHIP program, we call it the CHIP program, but it's the SCHIP program. It's the State Children's Health Insurance Program.
Exactly.
Yes.
Not just for the state.
And the authorization on it ran out on September 30th. Time's a-wasted. Thank you.